Ready? Good evening, everyone. Online students, can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Before starting the class, I need to tell you two things. Number one, in the India-Sri Lanka relations, when we discussed, I told you that India and Sri Lanka is discussing on a free trade agreement. The name of the free trade agreement is ETCA, Economic and Technological Cooperation Agreement. In the class, I mentioned ECTA. ECTA is different. ECTA is with India, Australia. Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement with Australia. ECTA with Australia, ETCA with Sri Lanka. Number two, I have a monitor in front of me wherein the online students are joined. So I look at the monitor to see their face as well as the comments and questions they ask. Right? That is the reason I look at the monitor. I do not use PPT to teach. I do not use any material to teach. I come prepared to the class and teach. Right? I have the Constitution of India with me. Right? As far as polity is concerned, this might help us. And this is my note which I made. Apart from that, I have nothing. Right? Now let's study this. A critical analysis of the internet shutdown regime in India. We are going to deal with the issue of internet shutdown. Internet shutdown. We will see what is internet shutdown, how the shutdowns are imposed, who can impose those shutdowns, what are the issues associated with shutdown, what are the implications of the shutdown, and what should be the way forward as far as the shutdowns are concerned. Right? Internet shutdown. What is internet shutdown? Internet shutdown is the suspension of internet by the government under relevant rules for dealing with public emergency and public safety. I am giving you a definition which you can use in the examination. If you keep writing in the class, that will help you. And if you want to depend upon the material, it will also help you, but it will take more time. So, make notes while you are in the class. So, internet shutdown is the suspension of internet by the government under relevant laws for dealing with public emergency and public safety. You can mold this definition according to your own language. Keep in mind, whatever you write, do not reproduce my words. Do not reproduce my language. You need to write it in your own language. Although some key terms will have to come. Right? Ultimately, you are the one who is going to write the exam, not me. Internet shutdown, this is it. Now, what is the extent of internet shutdown in India? Extent. Extent in the sense that the number of incidents, duration. There have been number of reports not by the government but by civil society organizations like Access Now. This is an organization which studies, analyzes the issues of internet shutdown across the world, including India. So Access Now, there is another India-based organization known as Software Freedom Law Center. Software Freedom Law Center. The reports of Access Now and Software Freedom Law Center indicate that the situation as far as internet shutdown is concerned in India, the situation is very serious. In the sense that, according to this Access Now, from 2016 onwards, 58% of total internet shutdown happened in India. For the last 5 years, the largest number of internet shutdown happened in India. 58%. Last 5 years, largest number in India. According to Software Freedom Law Center, a majority of internet shutdown has been imposed to curb protests. So, majority of internet shutdown in India is imposed for curbing protest. Second is preventing cheating in examination. This is a 2022 report of SFLC. So in 2022, more than 100 plus shutdown have been imposed in India. Out of it, largest number is to curb protest and second largest for cheating in examination. This will be very important for you. Why? We will see later the grounds under which shutdown can be imposed. Then you will come to know the implication or importance of these grounds or these points. So we know that apart from this data, we know that Kashmir has suffered, in fact felt longest period of internet shutdown. And we also know that what happened in Manipur. Months long shutdown. Right? So internet shutdown is a reality in India. Keep in mind, it is not only in India as far as the shutdown is concerned. Developing nations across the world, including authoritarian and military junta regime like Myanmar, Ethiopia, even China to some extent, Ukraine, you will find internet shutdown. But as far as developed nations are concerned, like UK, USA, etc., the extent, you don't find that much frequent shutdown, etc. In fact, in 2022, UK experienced only once, the entire year 2022, UK experienced only once, that too on a very limited scale. So the problem of internet shutdown is a developing country problem. Anyway, we will be dealing with the issue of internet shutdown in the context of India, correct? Now the point is that the extent of internet shutdown is very wide as far as India is concerned. These reports show. But keep in mind, the government of India does not keep any record of internet shutdown. Right? So whatever reports we have is our third party, in the sense that the civil society organizations which are working in this area and providing this report. What is the extent? Next. How the shutdowns are imposed. It means legal regime. What laws, what regulation, what rules provide power to the government to impose shutdown? Keep in mind, both the union government as well as the state government can impose internet shutdown. So internet shutdown can be imposed by following various laws and regulations. We have following laws and regulation dealing with shutdown. Number one is Indian Telegraph Act 1885. Number two, Section 144 of CRPC. Number three, IT Act 2000. I will first explain this. IT Act 2000 amended in IT Act Section 69A. IT Act 69A, although deals with specific blocking of internet, specific blocking of websites. See, there are two types of, let's say, shutdowns. You can either block specific website. You can also block tweet, messages, etc. We are not dealing with that under the rubric of shutdown. We will be studying this blocking, etc. in the context of that Twitter's challenge in Karnataka High Court. That is a different topic, right? So the blocking order, the blocking mechanism, the power of blocking of websites, accounts, etc. that will be dealt in a different topic. We will not be dealing with that. It's a separate issue altogether. But the wording of 69A, which provides power to the government to block accounts or block access to website, is such that even the government can use the IT Act, 69A of the IT Act to impose shutdown. But this is not generally used. Most frequently used is Section 144 and ITI in this Indian Telegraph Act 1885. Section 144 CRPC provides the power to executive magistrate to give order to certain person or persons for desisting from carrying an activity. Section 144 does not specifically provide shutdown of internet, but it has this language, this section provision saying that the executive magistrate can issue order asking an individual or group of individuals from refraining from doing something. Refraining matlab you cannot do this. This activity cannot be done. Now what is the activity of telecom provider? Internet provision. Section 144 can be used. Although the intent of Section 144 is not that. But the language is such that this has been used. Before 2017, Section 144 has been used for imposing internet shutdown on a wide scale. But after 2017, the usage of Section 144 to impose shutdown have come down, but still it is there. Still this power is used. Why 2017? Because what is this? Indian Telegraph Act 1885. Under this, the Union government formulated what? Rules. Which rules? Temporary suspension of telecom services, public emergency and public safety rules 2017. So, in 2017, the Government of India framed rules under the 1885 Act and provided a procedure under suspension of telecom rules 2017. So, after 2017, most of the suspension order, shutdown orders are issued under the suspension rules. Now, who can issue order? Under Section 144, executive magistrate can issue. Executive magistrate mean magistrate, a senior officer of the executive branch of the government having magisterial power. Magisterial means judicial power. Although not exactly judicial, but there are two types of magistracy. Judicial magistracy, part of the court system. Executive magistracy, part of executive. District collector, deputy commissioner, right? Sub-divisional magistrate, tahsildar, RDO, BDO, these all people are coming under executive magistracy. So in general, district collector, deputy commissioner, SDM, and any other person authorized by the government of the state can issue order under section 144. Under section 144, executive magistrate can issue order. Under this 2017 rules, who can? At the federal level, the Home Secretary can issue order. At the state level, the Secretary Home of the state government can issue order. The order issued will have to be submitted within 24 hours. To whom? To a review committee. This review committee at the union level will be headed by the cabinet secretary, and at the state level will be headed by the chief secretary. The suspension rules also provide for some contingencies, that under inevitable circumstances, the concerned authority, that is the Home Secretary at the state union level and the Secretary Home at the state government level, can authorize other officers for issuing the suspension. Anyway, the point is that once the suspension order is issued by the who? By the Home Secretary and Secretary Home at the state level, the order has to be given to or submitted to the review committee headed by the Cabinet Secretary or the Chief Secretary. And within 5 working days, the Chief Secretary at the state level and the Cabinet Secretary at the union level will have to decide whether the suspension order has been issued under the relevant provisions. So, temporary suspension telecom rules provide for shutdown of internet for maintaining public safety and for addressing public emergency. Right? This is the review mechanism. This is the issuing mechanism. Now we are coming into the major part of our discussion. And what is that? Issues with internet shutdown. What are the issues with shutdown of internet? Number 1, extraneous considerations. I am making your notes by teaching you. Right? So that whatever question come, whether it is in GS1, GS2 or also in internal security GS3, also in essay, and depending upon your optional, you have ready-made answer for you. Right? Extraneous consideration. Why? The suspension rule says that you can shut down the internet for public safety and emergency. But most of the shutdown have been used for what? Protest, curbing protest. Not only that, cheating in examination. Cheating in examination, Bihar, Rajasthan, West Bengal. How cheating in examination is a public emergency and how it is impacting public safety? The government has been alleged to be using internet shutdown to curb protest, using it for extraneous consideration which are not given the rules. This fact has also been underlined by the Parliamentary Standing Committee on ICT, Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information and Communication Technology. They pointed out that large number of shutdown incidents of internet have no link with the grounds provided under the rules. You are shutting down internet for maintaining law and order, curbing democratic protest and also prevent cheating in examination. Number 2, non-transparency. The rules provide that before shutdown, the order should be published. No orders are published, hardly any orders are published. Even if published, no probable reasons have been given. So, large number of instances have come across that no transparency in shutting down internet. Why internet is shut down? No record is kept. No reason is given. This has also been pointed out by the same Parliamentary Standing Committee. They asked compilation of instances from Department of Telecom and MHA. Both said that we do not keep any data. States have been doing it, we don't have any data. So if you do not have any data as far as shutdown incidents are concerned, how do we enforce accountability? How do we know that whether it is used for right purposes? Second is section 144 again. Section 144 was used because we did not have a specific rule under 2017. Now we have 2017, but still 144 is used. Because 144, the accountability system is very weak as far as 144 is concerned. Why? If you issue an order under 144, it is valid till 2 months. The state government can extend it to 6 months. There is no review process as temporary telecom rules provide in section 144. And in section 144, executive magistracy can issue. FDM can, DC can, ADM can. Very easy for them. Another issue with this shutdown is there is a Supreme Court judgment dealing with shutdown that we will detail study later. But keep in mind, the Supreme Court said in Anuradha Basin versus Union of India 2020, Anuradha Basin versus Union of India 2020. It asked the government to amend the temporary suspension of telecom rules to provide more protection and enforce accountability. Although the government has amended, still the amendment is not in line with the judgment of Supreme Court. We will see what the judgment is later. Simply keep in mind, the telecom suspension rule does not incorporate the judgment given by the Supreme Court in letter and spirit. Now we are going to see the implications of shutdown. This is very important. The meaning of the word implication is consequences, impact. Implication. Implication for democracy. Number 1. Implication for economy. Implication for society. Implication for security. Implication for international image. Democracy. Article 19 1A provides for freedom of speech and expression. My fundamental right, I have fundamental right for freedom of speech and expression. Although this freedom of speech and expression can be restricted by reasonable restriction. But as data indicate that most of the time the shutdown is imposed to curb my right to protest. Protest is also an example, a way of freedom of speech and expression. Not only that, the public safety, public emergency words in the rules and also in the Telegraph Act, they have not been defined. What is public emergency? What is public safety? And because of this lack of definition, anything can be under public safety and public emergency, and my fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression can be impacted. Not only that, freedom of speech and expression is not only individual freedom of speech and expression, press freedom, media freedom is also impacted. In Anuradha Basin versus Union of India, the Supreme Court held that freedom of speech and expression through internet is a fundamental right. The judgment is 2020. After 2020, still there have been, sir, screen is blurring. How? Prasad?
Sir, screen, we are not able to really visible your writing. It is like maybe.
I know that my writing has a problem, but I'm also speaking.
Not your writing, it is maybe technical problem.
1 minute. I think this is the issue. This light might be creating some problem. Let's put it this way. Now it is okay? Suprasad?
Sir, no, sir, it is in camera they are not. Starting we got here, after it is not.
How many of you are having problem? Chirag, Amit Kumar, and others? Do you?
We are also seeing blurred, but it's fine. Like we can continue.
Okay, whatever issue is there, we will resolve, right? But I am also speaking. Whatever I am writing, I am also speaking, and whatever is not written, that also I am speaking, right? Anyway, Anuradha Basin versus Union of India 2020, Supreme Court said, right to freedom of speech and expression through internet is a fundamental right. Now, if internet is shut down, then my right is violated. You can shut down the internet, that's not an issue. But shutdown should be reasonable. It should be as per the reasonable restriction under 19.2. This 19.2 provides for reasonable restriction. Reasonable restriction are what? Sovereignty, integrity, defamation, morality, security of state, public order, contempt of court, etc., etc. But in reasonable restriction, you never find public safety and public emergency. What do you find? Public order you will find. You don't find public safety and emergency. So without defining any parameters for public safety and public emergency, you are imposing shutdown. It is impacting my individual right to freedom of speech as well as the fundamental rights of media. And as you know, the importance of media freedom as far as the Manipur incident is concerned. Hypothetically speaking, if let's say the video has not come out, keep in mind there has been attempts, organized attempt to delete that video from the video of those individuals who have recorded it. It's an Indian Express report. Right? So media freedom is necessary. Right? Because media can bring forth a lot of issues. Economy. 2020 study, there is a study by an independent think tank which says that more than $2.8 billion have been lost because of the internet shutdown in 2020 in India. As you know, Article 19(1) Clause G, freedom for what? Trade, business, profession. So, I have fundamental right to trade, profession, etc., which is also impacted as far as the shutdown is concerned. It is true that Article 19 Clause 6 provides for restrictions. Again, those restrictions do not have public emergency and public safety. The Supreme Court again in Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India said, right to freedom of trade, profession, etc. under Article 1, Article 19, Clause G, through internet is also a fundamental right. Not only this, the government of India is promoting digital economy, digital India, digital economy, digital ecosystem, everything is digital. On the one hand, government uses digital system, digital economy to achieve 5 trillion target. On the other, we are imposing internet shutdown. It will impact the livelihood opportunities, industrial production, service industry, everything. Not only that, MGNREGA, the individuals who are seeking work under MGNREGA needs to register their attendance in Narega app. Biometric. If there is no internet, can they do it? PDF, internet, no ration. For society, very easy. The communication within family is broken down. How do you conduct some emergency? How parents can communicate with children? Not only that, education. Internet-based education, online education is also disturbed. In COVID times, we see online education, online health. So, shutting down internet is also impacting society. Not only that, the fundamental idea behind shutdown, why this shutdown is being enforced by government? To prevent fake news, hate speech, communal right, misinformation. But instead of curbing them, internet shutdown also been seen as promoting them. Because when you shut down internet, there is no communication. What is true, what is false, what is fake and what is right. This cannot be discerned. Rumors will flow thick and fast when there is no communication. Security. Manipur is a classic example. How lack of internet connectivity provided a semblance of impunity for violence to continue. Whatever you do, nobody is going to hold you because no internet, no connection, no media. So instead of protecting security, it is impacting security. Image of country. India is the mother of democracy. A mother of democracy should have provisions, procedures. In fact, a mother of democracy should promote democratic way of life. Should promote free flow of communication, dissent, criticism, democratic protest. So a mother of democracy cannot be seen as a father of internet shutdown. So it is impacting India's national image. Way forward. What can be done? This is a very important aspect. What can be done? Proper implementation of the Anuradha Bhasin judgment. Right? For proper implementation of Anuradha Bhasin judgment. Anuradha Bhasin versus Union of India 2020. Now, what has been the content of this judgment? This Anuradha Bhasin judgment is in the context of shutdown of internet in Kashmir. Ansari, the editor of Kashmir Times, approached the Supreme Court saying that shutdown is impacting my fundamental right, etc., etc. Right? The Supreme Court provided some guidelines. Number 1. Internet shutdown should satisfy the proportionality doctrine. So, internet shutdown should satisfy the proportionality doctrine. What is proportionality? As you know, Article 19(1) is hedged by Article 19(2). Similarly, other fundamental rights are also restricted by various grounds under the Constitution. But those restrictions should be reasonable. Whether the restrictions are reasonable or not, a test has been developed by the Supreme Court. The test is known as doctrine of proportionality. Doctrine of proportionality has been re-emphasized by the Supreme Court in a number of judgments, including modern dental college case, recent Puttaswamy case, the Fiducian, that Pegasus case, etc., etc. Right? Proportionality. Proportionality doctrine has 4 pillars. 4 pillars of proportionality doctrine. Number 1. Number is legitimacy. You can also say principle of legitimacy, you can say, if you want, or simply legitimacy. Second is suitability. Third one is necessity. Fourth one is balance. Legitimacy means whether the action taken by the government is for achieving a legitimate aim. Whether there is a law which backs the action of the state. The word state means both center as well as the state. I would say government to make it very clear. Legitimacy. Now in the context of shutdown, whether the state has a legitimate aim. Yes. Public safety, public order, public emergency, all those things, legitimate aim. Whether there is a law. Yes, section 144 is there, temporary suspension of telecom rules are there. So, this principle is satisfied. Suitability, whether the measure taken is suitable to achieve that aim. Whether there is a nexus. Yes, if you shut down the internet, the news will not spread, people will not congregate, right? The law and order machinery, the administration can take action. It will not lead to spreading rumors, hate speech. So, communal rights can be stopped, etc., etc. So, yes, suitability is there. This is also satisfied. Clear? Now, this one, necessity. Whether internet shutdown is the only method available to achieve that legitimate aim. I am going to take an example of cheating in examination. Cheating. Whether there is no method available, no alternative is available to prevent cheating in examination except imposing shutdown. There are multiple other methods. Isn't it? The entire system of invigilation, the Public Service Commission, the concerned authority, if they work properly, efficiently, then this cannot happen. So, protest. Protest is a fundamental right. It is true that protesting in undesignated area or without seeking permission from the concerned authority is illegal. But individuals have taken permission from the concerned police and authorities and they are protesting in designated places, then why are you shutting down it? If the fundamental idea behind shutdown of internet is to stop the protest from turning violent, then definitely the police can be present where the protest is going on. If you're stopping the protest and stopping people from coming to that area, you can control that site of protest. Like let's say in Jantar Mandar, protest is happening, there is a huge police presence. Shutting down internet means people cannot communicate. कहाँ पे आना है, किधर जाना है? Nobody knows. The point is that this limb of the doctrine is not satisfied in most of the cases. And it's not most of the cases. Or put it differently, large number of cases. In large number of cases, the necessity limb or pillar of the proportional doctrine is not satisfied. Balance means cost benefit. The cost of shutdown is very huge in terms of economic loss of livelihood, education, health, fundamental right. Although these parameters should be decided on case-to-case basis. That we know cheating. Commonsensical nature understanding is that this is not necessity. And the balance is tilted. Because the cost is very much, this is a cost-benefit analysis kind of thing. What is the benefit for the government by shutting down internet, and what is the cost to public? Tangible and intangible. So we are saying internet shutdown should be based upon strictly adhering to the proportionality doctrine, reinforced or re-emphasized by the Anuradha Buffin judgment 2020. Number 2, Anuradha Buffin judgment also said, what they have said? Internet shutdown cannot be indefinite. There cannot be any indefinite shutdown. There has to be some time frame. Number 3, publication of orders. All the shutdown orders should be published immediately so that individuals can challenge those orders in court. Because publication of order means speaking order. Why it is shut down? What are the reasons behind it? The court can go into the reasons and see whether there is application of mind by the individual involving shutdown and can struck down if it does not satisfy these things. But if you do not publish, then how can you go? Where you can go? It is mandatory. One thing the government have done is, as far as the Anuradha Buffin judgment is concerned, government amended telecom suspension rules. It has said 15 days is the maximum duration. 15 days is the maximum duration for which the shutdown can be there. So let's say today shutdown is there. It can extend up to maximum 15 days. Under what? Under suspension rules. But keep in mind, section 144 still is there and it is being used. So whatever the temporary suspension rule is not applicable to 144, it's different. Right? Next way forward is section 144. The utilization or application of section 144 as far as shutdown of internet is concerned should be least. We are not saying it cannot be, because there might be some situation where it has to be done. Because the district collector, the individual cannot take permission from higher authorities. Situation might be that. We should provide some kind of flexibility for administration to deal with exigencies. So what we are saying, in normal circumstances or unless exceptional circumstances are there, section 144 should not be used for internet shutdown, because section 144 is for public order. So a public order legislation, provision should not be used for a specific purpose, because we have a specific rule. What is that rule? Temporary suspension rule. Whenever there is a specific rule, law dealing with a specific matter, a general law cannot be applied. This is a legal position. CRP is a general law. You have a specific rule dealing with who? Dealing with what? Shutdown of internet. So you use that internet shutdown rule, under this suspension rule. Don't use it. This is very easy to understand. PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Special statute dealing with money laundering. But money laundering is also addressed, although in a sketchy manner, under CRPC and IPC. Now PMLA is there, it will deal with money laundering. UAPA, special law. Special laws override in general the general laws. That is why ED has become very powerful. Anyway, so what we are saying, section 144 should not be used unless in exceptional circumstances. But there should be transparency as far as application of section 144 is concerned. There should be checks and balances as provided in the temporary suspension rule in section 144 also. Next is the Parliamentary Standing Committee, the Parliamentary Standing Committee which we discussed. This Parliamentary Standing Committee on ICT, it said the statute should be amended. Which statute? Telecom Act. Amended to clearly define public emergency and public safety so that its misuse is limited. Now what is public emergency and public safety is up to the individual who is issuing that order. As you know, although discretion is provided for the administration to deal with dynamic, evolving situations, uncanalized discretion violates Article 14 of the Constitution. If you know the previous year's UPSC question, you will understand what I am trying to say. Discretion is provided. Discretion means the ability or the power to act in a certain way. But the action has to be within confines of law. There should be some guidelines. You should act this way. You can act that way. Only this happens, then you act. But if there are no guidelines, then it becomes the individual's prerogative. There is a chance of misuse. So discretion needs to be controlled, or there should be some guidelines, procedures to control the discretion. So public emergency and public safety not defined. Parliamentary Standing Committee has said that you should define it properly, provide parameters for that the misuse, the unwanted application or application where it is not needed is reduced. Not only the Parliament Standing Committee said, internet shutdown should not be used for routine policing activities. In this context, you should know the difference between these things. What is it? Law and order. Next is public order. Third is national security. Somebody has stolen my mobile. It affects me. In general, it affects me. It's a law and order issue. Whenever a crime affects the society at large, community at large, then it becomes a public order issue. When it affects the nation as a whole, it becomes national security. It is not necessary that the issue should affect nation as a whole, right? Let's say terrorist activities, that can come under the nation because it impact entire national security. This you will understand this way. Innermost circle is national security. The other circle is public order. Third one is law and order. Every national security problem is a public order problem and a law and order problem. Every public order problem is a law and order problem. But every law and order problem is neither public order nor national security. This will help you in number of cases where National Security Act has been imposed or individuals are charged under NSA for what? adulteration of milk, transporting cattle, corruption, theft, reports, criticism of the government. What the Parliamentary Standing Committee is saying is this. It is saying that you should not use shutdown for normal law and order problem. Cheating in examination is a law and order issue. If at all it happens, not a communal right. Right? Until unless there is no impact on community, public at large, you cannot use it because it is public order. That is the ground, and security of state, security and integrity. These are national security aspects. So either national security or public order. Routine policing function. One theft has happened, shutdown of internet. This cannot be done. In a street, some fight happened between two individuals, no shutdown. That cannot be done. So, routine policing activity, use it for public order. Use it for national security. But follow the guidelines under suspension rules as well as the Anuradha Bhasin judgment. The temporary suspension rule also require amendment. As you know, the Income Tax Act, again income tax, because income tax authorities are everywhere in the country, right? Income tax, ED, CBI, as you know. Anyway, the point is Indian Telegraph Act 1885. The government of India has been trying to indigenize the legal system of the country. They want to get rid of the colonial laws. So they decided that this is an 1885 law which needs to be replaced. So they introduced a draft telecom bill. Draft telecom bill, year I am not able to correct, it is 2022. Yes. Draft telecom bill 2022. It's a draft. This telecom bill will replace what? ITA. So one would have thought that this act would have addressed the problems in Telegraph Act as well as the problems in temporary suspension rule. But instead of addressing the issues with respect to suspension rules and instead of incorporating the judgments of the Supreme Court as far as Anuradha Bhasin is concerned, this draft bill provides more scope for internet shutdown. Because it has also added various other grounds and also brought the OTT. What is that? Over the top and various other things. This is a draft. So what we will say, the draft telecom bill which is in the public domain, right, or whenever the telecom bill is enacted, it can contain those provisions which balances the rights of individual as well as the needs of security of the state. It can also incorporate the guidelines given by the Supreme Court as far as Anuradha Bhasin is concerned. It's a modern law trying to replace a colonial law. It cannot have a colonial philosophy in this law. We will deal with draft telecom bill later if possible, although I have taught this draft telecom bill in previous CD batch. Anyway, another way forward is within the telecom suspension rule. Here is a problem, fundamental issue. I will tell you what is that. In this telecom suspension rules, who is issuing the order? Home Secretary, or in another cases, the Joint Secretary. I am talking about state level. In the union level, Home Secretary. In state level, Home Secretary or Secretary Home. Same. Who's reviewing their order? Chief Secretary, Cabinet Secretary. They are entirely part of the executive branch. For executive is issuing the order, reviewing the order, monitoring the order, adjudicating it. A classic case of conflict of interest. Biasness. Although might not be there is a perceived biasness. Justice should not only be done, but seen to have been done. Not only that, this review committee does not have the power to reject. What they can do, within 5 days, they will meet and they will record their events. They cannot have the power to reject it or quash it. And why 5 days? Why? Because within 3 to 4 days, the shutdown will be removed. And not only that, why 15 days? What is the reason you have taken 15 days? What is the criteria for 15 days? Because generally this is the duration. They might have taken an average. So they say that within 2 weeks, etc., this is withdrawn. 15 days, so there is no problem. The fundamental issue with the temporary suspension rule is the composition of review committee. It should have members from judiciary. You can have the district judge for that matter, or the retired high court judge, or individual from civil society to make the committee broad based. Not only that, the committee should publish its order recording the reasons. Right? Internet shutdown is justified to the extent that it is used for defined purposes like meeting challenges of public order and addressing the concerns of national security. But using shutdown for routine police functions and for extraneous considerations may not stand judicial scrutiny. The shutdowns, such shutdowns will have serious consequences for the democratic rights, economic activities, and international image of the country. Government needs to explore alternative ways of addressing the challenges. And whenever the shutdown is imposed, it must satisfy the doctrine of proportionality. As 96% of the internet shutdown relate to shutting down mobile internet. Shutting down mobile internet. Its impact is disproportionately huge for the vulnerable and marginalized section of people. Hence, it is high time that Parliament enacted a foolproof legislation dealing with various aspects of internet shutdown. The draft telecom bill, which is in public domain, can incorporate the guidelines under Anuradha Bafin judgment and recommendations of the Parliamentary Standing Committee. Jai Hind. Anything you want to ask? Ready-made answer for you, right? Revise it properly. Proportional doctrine can be applied in multiple areas, right? Public order can be applied. Right to internet, freedom, lot of things. It depends upon how well you are aware of your syllabus and how well your foundation is built. I have tried to build your foundation as well as the to develop knowledge about the current developments. Right? Anything else? You want to ask him anything? Anything? Suprasad, Chirag, Amit Kumar, all are happy?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Revise. See you later. Tomorrow we will have a class. Tomorrow Lakshmi sir will take class as far as ED is concerned. Your class is about the Odisha train tragedy, the tragedy that happened, right? That angle will be taught. I will meet you day after tomorrow with SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Thank you so much. All the best.